Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche. I hope all the dads had a really great holiday this weekend. And happy Pollinator Week 2023. So June 19th through the 25th this year is Pollinator Week, which is an annual celebration in support of pollinator health. And it is initiated and managed by a nonprofit known as the Pollinator Partnership. And it's to help raise awareness for the plight of pollinators and help spread the word about what we can do to protect them. I'll drop a link to the Pollinator Week Map where you can find different events going on, hopefully near you, to participate in. Groups are doing plantings for pollinators, garden tours, online bee and butterfly ID workshops, in-person pollinator parties, and at Nature Niche we are holding our second of 3 native plant sales, chock full of herbaceous and woody plants that support our native pollinators. This year's theme emphasizes the connection between climate and pollinators. Basically the idea that climate change is in our hands and there are plenty of little things we can do as individuals to help support pollinators and help fight climate change. That's one of the things that's a major threat to our native pollinators, along with a decrease in food, both plants and other insects, a decrease in available habitat for them, an increase in diseases, and with increasing temperatures, more intense storm events, droughts, these natural disasters really have a major impact on their populations. So most of our native pollinators, over 200,000 species, are beneficial insects like flies, beetles, bees, wasps, ants, butterflies, and moths. And they're disappearing at an unprecedented and alarming rate of up to 2% per year. So this is a phenomenon that scientists are calling the insect apocalypse, and that's due to deforestation and loss of other native landscape ecosystems, pesticide use, artificial light pollution, climate change, and disease. So these pollinators are a very important base of our food chain, and as they struggle, so do the agricultural crops, our native plants, and the animals that rely on them for both pollination and food. There's some great infographics on a site called The Collapse of Insects that I'll drop a link in the post description so you can learn a lot more of the details of that. But what I wanted to focus on for today were 7 main things you can do for pollinators that are offered up by the Pollinator Partnership. So number 1, and the one that I think is most important as well, is planting for pollinators. Every site has the potential to provide habitat for pollinators, whether that's corporate land, you know, your home landscape. There are lots of places where we can carve out a little space, even in window planters and pots if we have to help support pollinators. So utilize native plants that are native to your particular area, and consider your site's soil type, the drainage, light conditions to choose the right plant for the right place. And you can learn more about that in Monday with Martha number 56. I talk about how to select native plant species for your landscape. In Monday with Martha number 5, I talk about different types of pollinators and how to attract them. And in number 57, I talk about, I feature some native plants that are really good pollinator supporters. And then many of my other posts cover other native flora to Michigan and in the Midwest as well. So check those out. But what you want to do is create an easy target for pollinators to find by planting a species in multiples. So here I have foxglove beard tongue, and you want to set up, you know, aim for like a 3-foot diameter circle, an easy thing for those pollinators to be able to find. Plus, I think natives often look nicer and have more visual impact planted in multiples. You want to select a site that is protected from the wind, gets at least part sun, and where you can offer, it either has a natural source of water or human provided water in a bird bath or a little puddling station or something like that. It's important to keep what is termed coarse woody debris. You want to allow things like dead branches to remain, logs, snags. This is an example from my own backyard where we have a white oak that we're going to try to keep as much of it as possible as habitat and a nesting site for cavity nesting native bees. You also don't want to cover like every square inch of the ground. Don't over mulch. A little bit of bare ground is a good thing. Soil patches allow places for ground nesting bees, and a lot of our native bumblebees nest there. So having that bare soil can be helpful. And you can also offer supplemental habitat structures. So this is an example made out of cedar, but supplemental cute little habitats to offer shelter and a nesting location for many kinds of beneficial insects. So those are some main concepts of things to do with native pollinator plantings. Second, you can reduce or eliminate pesticides. So that includes insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides. You can practice integrated pest and pollinator management, known as IPPM. You can do things like bury infested plant residues rather than using a chemical, removing pest species habitat, planting native species to support natural predators and parasites of pest species that you're struggling with. And the Pollinator Partnership has a great website, I'll drop that in there too, called their Pesticide Learning Center, and there are lots of good resources there. And if you have to use pesticide, try to use as little as possible and read and follow the label carefully. I think bad things happen when labels aren't followed, so that's certainly best management practice there. Third, you can register your pollinator garden. So the Pollinator Partnership has a bee-friendly garden designation. You can do, Monarch Watch has a Monarch Way Station designation. Wild Ones has their Butterfly Garden certification. Wildlife Habitat Council has pollinator projects for corporate lands. And there are many more local programs that you could be involved with. An example would be the Little Forks Conservancy's Conservation at Home and Conservation at Work certifications here in Midland, Michigan. Fourth, you can reach out to others and inform and inspire. Help them to recognize and steward our pollinators, and that's just what I hope to do with this post. Communicate with your local, state, and federal government officials that you care about pollinator health, that it's an important issue to you. Fifth, you can support local bees, beekeepers, organic farmers, and other businesses with pollinator-friendly practices. So, for example, buy local honey. If you want to see less chemicals in agriculture, buy organic food products. If you're concerned about global climate change and carbon emissions, try to buy locally as much as you can. 6, conserve all of our resources by using less and reducing your overall environmental impact. Find ways to help combat global climate change each day, because those weather extremes really dramatically affect pollinator populations, their native ranges, and their critical overwintering sites. And then 7th, support the work of groups that are promoting and conducting science-based practical efforts for our pollinators. There are too many to name here, but there are many worthy organizations doing research, habitat restoration, environmental education, citizen science projects. So consider offering your time and or your money to support their good work and our native pollinators. I hope you have a great Pollinator Week.